Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever South Sudan in the World episode. So the idea of South Sudan in the world is where we want to meet South Sudanese changing the world, around the world, and how people around the world are changing South Sudan. And the idea of South Sudan in the world is not to limit it just to South Sudan, because too often we just think of just South Sudan, home South Sudan. But we have a lot of our brothers and sisters around the world who are doing great things. And we need to highlight that. We need to hear how they're winning around the world. That's why we call it South Sudan and the world. This is the first episode, and our guest is one of my childhood friends. You'll hear from him. He's somebody who went to the U.S. young, became a nurse, and now he's an entrepreneur. He's in transportation, logistics, and trucking. We're going to hear from him and we're going to have a conversation about how South Sudanese in the diaspora can create generational wealth. He believes that we need to do more in America. We don't need to worry always about home. How can we do more while we're in America? So without further ado, we're going to introduce Mr. Elijah Jock. Welcome to the show, Elijah.
Thank you, Cole. Thank you. Like Cole says, my name is Elijah Jock. Been in the U.S. For some time now. Came when I was 11. Or was it 12? And feel like it's been a long time. But like Cole says, I'm a person who believes that before we go back home and trying to do things, I feel like we need to be stable here in America. Like Cole's, the reason why I say that is many of us here in the U.S. are working, but it's the little we have. We feel as if we can go back home and make a big difference. But as one man once said, in order for us to do anything, we first have to conquer America in order for us to make a difference back home. Because if you see, Cole, you lived here in the U.S. and you pretty much lived both worlds. And in the U.S., in Africa, there are people out there that have more money than we actually do here in the U.S. And all that has more to do with how we're living our lives here in the U.S. It's not like, we do have endless opportunities here, but a lot of us are not using those opportunities to be better and to do more for not just us, but for our families and the people around us.
Okay, you been in the U.S. You were there when you were 12. Tell us, what was it like? How did you end up in the United States?
How I end up here? So I had an opportunity to come with my grandma, and the reason why I came was to come and get an education. And by education is it I can go to school and become something better than what I had. When I came to America, I didn't know English. All I spoke was my native language. I had two other languages I spoke. But I feel like many of us have came to the U.S. that we came to get that education or an opportunity to do something. But I feel like a lot of us have forgotten that opportunity, that vision or that mission that we all came here for. As we came and some of us feel as if we're living like we've already made it and have everything that we need in life, but we're forgetting that we actually have people back home. Me, for example, mom and dad, I haven't seen them since 2005. It's not that I don't want to go see them. I do want to see them. But I feel my mission here in the U.S. isn't done yet. I haven't accomplished anything as of yet for me to feel as I should go back home and visit.
Okay. Now, how was your career like? You get to United States, you start going to school, and then you became a nurse. What got you into the medical profession?
That part of education. First, when I came, I tried many things. as one rapper said, I don't know that he didn't know what he was gonna be, but he just knew that he was gonna be something. I've always had that in life, that I feel like someday, somehow, somewhere, I'm gonna be something. I just don't know what. So when I went to school to become a nurse, my goal at first I wanted to become a pharmacist. But looking at my finance at the time, where I have to work two jobs for me to go in order for me to go to school and live. I just didn't know. I just couldn't figure a way to figure out and actually become that pharmacist. But then I had this crazy idea where if I became a nurse, I could become a physician assistant. But something told me, if I became that physician assistant, why don't I take another step and become a doctor? So when I went to nursing school, my ultimate goal was to become a doctor. And after I became a doctor, if I did go to become a doctor, I wanted to go beyond that, to possibly own a clinic, a hospital, something that I can own and actually take back home and make a difference. I did eventually become a nurse. I'm actually an RN. Went traveling for a couple of years. But working as a nurse, I knew then that I couldn't go back to school because I still need the finance. I still need, if I do go to school to become a doctor, I'll eventually have to work and go to school. And that itself was another nightmare that I originally had when I was going to school. I was going to school to become a nurse, and I had a job that I have to keep in order for me to, even pay for that school. So that doctor degree or wherever I was trying to accomplish, I couldn't make it happen. So needless to say, nursing, really enjoyed being a nurse. I've taken care of many patients, be it elders, young, old, geriatrics. I've taken care of all of them. I've traveled. My first contract was actually right in Iowa. I went down to Missouri, ended up in New Mexico. I loved it all, and came down here to Nebraska, where I had my last contract. Loved it all, but I felt like I couldn't accomplish more if I just remained as a nurse. Nothing bad to say about nurses. I love that job, but I just needed something. That thing that that always had in me, that I'm going to be something someday, and I'm not that person. I'm somebody right now, but I know for a fact someday I'm going to be somebody or something. And I'm still fighting for that something. That what drove me away from nursing, because I felt like if I became just stuck to nursing, I knew someday I'm going to have a family. And working those hours as a nurse, if I'm working, coming home, and I barely have time to myself to even just relax, and I knew that if I eventually have a family, I couldn't become the family man I wanted to be. Whereby when I come home, I can spend time with my family, and do many more things where I can actually educate my kids or stuff like that. So becoming a nurse felt, I would get off work, come home, sleep, because I was always tired. Mind you, not this is like 12-hour shifts a day.
Overnights,
man. Yep, overnights too. Had like 12 hours. That alone, on my days off, all I would do was just sleep. So had a cousin of mine who introduced me into trucking then, and I'm a man. When there's an opportunity, I'll go for it, and I don't wait for tomorrow. I want to get it done today. So he actually contacted me 2018, asking me if I knew of trucking. I said no, just tell me a little bit more about trucking. He told me a little bit more, and I was actually interested. I said, let's do it. Um, I'd say I'll be ready whenever you're ready. So it took him a year to get back to me. And then this time when he got back to me.
And when was this? What year was this?
I just didn't get back. This was 2018. 2018, let's say around January 2018, he came to me and asked me about this. And I told him, hey, I'll be ready whenever you're ready. Actually, 2019 is when he actually asked me, like December 2018 into 2019, that's when he asked me, and I told him that I would be ready whenever he was ready to make it happen. So I waited while I waited, I actually did my research. Went ahead and did a little research on how to get into trucking, how to become a business owner, and stuff like that. I did all that.
Mm.
A year later, he came back to me and said, "Okay, let's do this." And I didn't give him a second chance for him to leave and go take his time. This time, I took the wheel and actually started the process of actually becoming a business owner of such trucking company. We eventually opened our first trucking company. That's how I really got into trucking, and from there, this was 20. We got in 2020. 2021, I stopped working as a nurse. Uh,
Okay.
the
So
reason
after
is I
after
had
3 years,
more.
then you quit your job, your main job. So this was a side hustle for 3 years.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Uh, reading because Nicole, remember back in the day, 2015 is when we actually got to just hang out a little bit more, and you were pushing books. You were really pushing books,
Yeah.
and right now I can actually look that was it the Habit. You know, back then
The Power
I
of
was not
Habit
even
by
into
Charles
books.
Duhigg. Yeah, that yellow book.
Yes,
Remember?
yes, that
Uh-huh.
book stayed in my trunk. I never once opened it. Right. So
Oh yeah.
2020 is when I
Wait, I gave
actually,
it to you, right?
yeah, you gave it to me and Rick.
Yeah,
We never
bro.
really
Tell
like
me why
signed it.
I was looking for that book in my library for like the past like wow, my bro, I got this book. Okay, it makes sense now.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah. Uh, I don't have that car anymore, but that book stayed there. Uh, 2020, I got into reading, you know, and what got me into the reading was the saying of knowledge is potential power. A lot of people would say it's power, but it's potential power. That got me into reading. The more I know, the more I can do. Uh, and that, I tell everybody right now, books actually changed the person I was, changed my life, gave me the knowledge I probably have now. And if it wasn't for books, I wouldn't have that knowledge. So at the time, the first book that was introduced to me was the Rich Dad Poor Dad book by Robert. I'm sure you read that, right?
yeah, Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That was the first book that I read, and then I got into another book of his that the 24th centuries, the 21st century's businesses. That's another book of his that I read. Then I got into other books like The Habits, and I was working as a nurse at the time. Was doing my research and becoming a business owner as a truck driver or as a truck business owner, and I didn't have my CDL. I just wanted to get into that business so I can actually offer opportunities to be able to hire my the close ones, like the friends, uh, you know, just small people, really, And right now, um, in our company, we pretty much just employ our people because I feel like when we got in, we wanted to give them the opportunity to be able to like have a say, to be able to be treated like humans because you go around, everybody's judged by the cover of what they look like, you know. But there's that saying, you don't judge a book by its cover. You get to know the person and then you can judge. So that was the main reason why I got into trucking. Uh, but as soon as I got into reading, uh, I would read a book a week, one book a week, to the point where I
Wow.
just got tired of reading. You see, but that I'm thankful for that opportunity to be able to read. Um, I don't know. Carnegie said, "Whoever you want to be, you can be, as long as there are books, as long as there's research, as long as there's something to read
That's
about it.
Dale
You could,
Carnegie.
uh,
Dale Carnegie or Andrew Carnegie.
Andrew Carnegie,
Yeah, Andrew Carnegie. Steel
Carnegie,
magnet, yeah.
still guy, yeah. Uh, so that back then, you and I had nothing to talk about because you were into books. Me, I didn't want to I didn't like books at all, so we couldn't really have anything in common. Years later, now we can have something to talk about. Now,
Hmm. We
books,
talk for hours.
whatever it is. Yeah, we can talk for hours now. That's why we're on the podcast right now, because now we have something in common. Even though I've always known you to be one of the friends I have out there that I can actually connect with. But when it came to going to knowledge, anything like that, I wanted to work then. And in high school, I was told work smarter, not harder. And it took me from high school, my junior year to 2020. You know what? Years later, like maybe 9, 10 years later, for me to know what that meant. But at first, I argued that my teacher didn't know what they were talking about. Instead, I wanted to work hard, keep working, having two jobs, go to school, and all that stuff. But 2020 is when I actually learned, to actually work smarter. And that's when I started reading and got into trucking business.
Okay. So that's an interesting journey. So, as you see, compared to many of our South Sudanese, we see a stagnation. And we've discussed this a lot, especially young people, is that how can we, South Sudanese in the diaspora, create generational wealth? How can we put ourselves in a situation to succeed? If you look at some of our counterparts, if it's Sudanese, Ethiopians, Ugandans, Kenyans, Nigerian, they have built businesses for themselves. They have built different investments. Why don't we do that? And from your experience, what should we do?
Um, so it's nothing we can achieve. We're South Sudanese now for a reason, and the reason why we're South Sudanese because we had a common cause, and that common cause was to get to have our own country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our problem now is that we're not making generational wealth a common cause for any of us. We're not even making it a personal cause. We're not making it like a lot of us throw that word around, but no one actually, most of us haven't gone down and actually defined that what generational wealth is. And if I can talk more about generational wealth because I've actually did my own research as to what is generational wealth. But I feel like we're we hear it, and you can go, offer a friend a way to make money right now. They're like, oh yeah, man, I'm all about generational wealth, and I'm going to do it, you know. And one thing I've known is it takes most people years to start that first hour of doing something, whether it be going to school. It'll probably take them hours to start that first hour. And the moral of the story is we're not making it personal. We're not, in the U.S. here, in Omaha there's more South Sudanese here in Omaha, Nebraska. They haven't clicked, we haven't actually decided that we should make wealth a common cause. Instead, it's me working by myself, the next person working against me, and me working against them. You see, we haven't really, like you look at U.S. Bank of America, Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, what Warren Buffett is an investor. It didn't take one person to make that foundation happen. It took a group of people to come together and make that happen. Um, but when we're talking generational wealth, we're talking about something that's actually is to me generational wealth. Is not about me. It's not even about my child. It's about the generation that's going to come after. It's going to be what is the wealth that's actually going to reach my grandchildren. Because for my child, I'll take care of them. I'll make sure I take care of them. But if I don't actually relate the knowledge for them to actually grab and actually know how to keep the wealth, then their children's or them themselves are going to actually destroy that wealth that I worked hard for. Uh, and there's a saying that says, let's see where it says, it says, it's a family cycle actually. It says, my grandfather walked 10 miles to work every day. My father walked 5 miles, and I drive a Cadillac to work. My son is going to drive a Mercedes. My grandson will drive a Ferrari probably, and my great grandson will probably walk again. You see that? So when we're talking about generational wealth, one person can actually create that generational wealth, but it's going to take another to destroy that because they never actually had the knowledge to keep it.
That's so deep. It reminds me of a similar quote that I heard from. I was in Dubai and I was meeting with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was this one guy. He's a very influential guy. So I spoke to him about how did the UAE in the Middle East, you guys became so wealthy, and he said similar thing. He's like, one of the old founders said that um my father or my grandfather was on camels. Me, I drove. Same similar thing. My son drove. My grandson's gonna be on camels, and so they asked him, "Okay, why did you say such a comment like that?" Because he's saying it's an attitude, right? It has nothing to do with what you have and what you don't have. It has everything to do with how you think and how you move. That's why you find a lot of the times
Mm-hmm.
these families that are so powerful, they prioritize education, they prioritize values. It's like, okay, let's say we have
Correct.
$100 million in the bank. That's great. We had to work hard to get it there.
Right.
But that 100 million can be
Correct.
blown quickly. That's why when you talk
Yes.
about the generational wealth, that's why you look at the different demographics in America. We're talking,
Mm-hmm.
let's be honest, like white people. We always say, okay, white people, they know how to keep their money because a white person will be like, okay, um, I have this money. I'm going to invest it. I'm going to do this. And Kanye says in his song, he's like, white people get money, don't spend it. Or maybe they get money by business. That stereotype, as much as we don't like it, there's some truth to it, especially
Mm-hmm.
with consumerism. So you have to fight that. So that's a very good point that you make.
Right.
So you talk about
Right.
generational wealth. Now say, what are challenges that you're facing now? You're a
Me?
successful
Sorry.
entrepreneur. You're
Sorry.
growing.
Right.
How are you progressing? What
So
are challenges that you're facing in your business? And how are you overcoming them?
the challenges I'm facing is the I'm having to do everything from the start. Does that make sense? And
Mm-hmm.
when there's no books around, there are going to be mistakes. And for every mistake, like a book would tell me, you have to learn from it and say thank you for that mistake that I made, and it won't repeat itself.
Mm-hmm.
So my challenges are trying to fix my wrongdoing. When I got into trucking, I didn't have a mentor. Till this day, I'm still looking for a mentor, someone to actually mentor me. But I tell other people, if you gotta get into trucking, I'm here, I'm open book. You know, I want my brothers to go where I'm going. I wouldn't mind if you came and skipped me and became more successful or whatnot. Just ask me and I'll tell you how it is, how you should go about it. But they don't. No one comes in trying to sit down and trying to figure out how to get into trucking. And half of those people that got in, they're no longer there because they never really trying to ask what could take them out of business. So my challenges right now are just me trying to figure out all this generational wealth or whatnot uh, by myself. Trying to like start from the jump. Also, America is a land of opportunity. Um, and I see a lot of our brothers blaming the system. Oh, it's a system and whatnot. But it's really not the system. It's your thinking. Is your philosophy. And I wish, that we all had that class in high school because class, pathology and sociology, those two class like courses, if they had those in high school, I think we would all be better humans. Does that make sense? Not human, but I think we will all probably do better in life as to how we go about life because it's not, it's really not the system because the system was not. I don't feel like anybody, no white person out there is out to get Elijah. They don't know who Elijah is, you know. But we feel as if there's a system out there, but there's no his system. There's no system that was created for a specific person. It's our thinking. If I change my mindset and said, okay, listen, uh, that trucking company, I'm gonna own it. And now my next thing is is not to think I can't do it. It's how do I do it? That's a shift in mindset. A lot of us don't have reason, and we don't try to like think. It's what's in the mind. It's the mindset that actually that could get us somewhere in South Sudanese, and stop blaming everybody and their mother about why we're not successful.
Oh.
Also
And so,
the challenges that not just me, but all of us. It's like, as Black people in America, it's a saying that I heard. It's like, yeah, a lot of us, we do get money. We could make money, but the reason why we spend it, I feel like it all comes off. It's like everybody trying to show off of what they made happen. Because I feel like in America, Black people were brought here. They weren't really supposed to have anything. But once someone like me gets something, I feel like I should go ahead and show it off. Show off. I should go ahead and buy expensive stuff. And then there's another saying if you do go spend money on things, you're gonna have the things, not the money. You're gonna have the things, not the money. Another thing is if you know if you the thing is if I do have a nice car right now, Cole, you don't care if I have that nice car. You know yourself. We as human, we'll always use the next person as the benchmark. Whether they have a nice car, nice house, and whatnot. No one really cares. So that was that's a challenge for all of us. But I've learned, to know that that's a thing. That so when I go around and trying to buy nice thing, if I'm going to buy a nice thing, it's only going to be for me, and I'm only going to be the audience for it. But for me to think that so and so is going to care that I have this nice thing, they don't care. They know they will themselves say, "Oh, I can get that nice car." It doesn't mean So to know that, it actually helped me to carefully do my things, because it's really not about the world. It's about you, and we all should be our own audience before we do things.
Okay, we all should be our own audience before we do things. I think that's so deep, and there's something that you said that's so compelling, is that if you are getting something nice for other people, they're going to see, like, if I buy a really nice shirt, I'm going to wear it and you're going to see that's nice, but I'm going to be the one who's wearing it the whole day. I have to enjoy it as me. If I buy a nice car, I'm the one who's going to drive it around everywhere. I shouldn't want validation from you. And this is a theme that I think that many people face within generation, especially with the culture of consumerism and social media, where I feel like a lot of the times, and that when people don't see the challenges somebody goes through. So you look at somebody who's really successful and you assume like this guy's successful, he's on social media, is doing well, but nobody sees the preparation, nobody sees the background of it. Nobody sees the struggle, because success isn't a final destination. It's a process.
No.
Like, how many people have made $1 million and kept going? I mean, you have people like Warren Buffett, who's almost 90. How old is he? I mean, you guys are in Omaha. You know him. You guys, he's 80, 85. Let me look up. He's old, and every day he goes to the office. He lives in the same house that he grew up in. Let me look up Warren Buffett age. Yeah, Warren Buffett is 93 years old.
Yes.
93 years old. And he still every day goes to work, hustling. Like, success is not like we made it. There's no thing as made it. It's I've progressed to a level that I haven't before. You know what I mean?
Right. There's a good book. Let me see. It's a good book. I forget. There's a word. There was actually a topic. Why are Jews more wealthier than the rest of the world? And that book pretty much it's called "Thou Shalt Prosper," right? So growing up, we all want to be. We all like we lived our life like a lottery ticket. Tell everybody our lives, like a lot of us, this year, like, okay, boom, this year I'm going to make $1 million that I would have been wanting. And the years and the next year is another try. No one is actually taking the time to make that millions of dollars. No one is starting from where they should be starting. And then once we make that $1 million, once you have that money, we all feel like we can just retire.
Yes.
Imagine at 20 something, you retire. What is it? What and the thing is, we all need to ask ourselves, if we're retiring, what are we doing? Are we showing off, or are we lazy? What is it? What is it that we're doing? Are we showing off or lazy? So, like you say, Warren Buffett is in his 90s, right?
Yes.
The reason why Warren Buffett is so wealthy is because he kept working. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
But had Warren Buffett stopped working at 50, he wouldn't have the money that he had. He wouldn't be Warren Buffett. No one would know Warren Buffett. Does that
Mhm.
make sense? But there's a lot
Mhm.
of us that want to make quick money and call it a quit, you know?
Yes.
And then when they start working, when, they realize that they spend all that money because, as black people, we're consumers. We like to consume a lot. We like to consume a lot. So imagine if you stop working right now forever, is the money, whatever you've created already, it's not going to keep growing. You're going to keep taking from it. But it
Yes.
takes your hard work to keep adding to it, like Warren
Mhm.
Buffett does every morning when he wakes up and go to work. You find joy. And so when people ask me, "What's your hobby?" Back in the day, people ask me, "What do you like to do for fun?" And I'll be like, "Damn, I like to sleep." But now these days, I tell you, I like to work. I like to work. That's my hobby. Now you can say, you can call me boring or whatnot, but guess what? At my age, I have a child now. My kid should be one looking for fun. He should be wanting to go to the park. He should be wanting to go find something that to keep him, entertained. You know, I have to work because I have a child,
Yes.
because I have a legacy to look forward to. I have a lot to, fun should no longer be in my vocabulary because I'm a grown up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And if
Yes.
you go back into a culture, there's a word that girls throw around these days, calling it someone that don't like to do anything, galwak, and if and I speak a little bit, I was fluent in Nuer, I used to speak Nuer, and I understand it. Galwak mean a church boy, and in translation, it's a guy that doesn't really have plans or do anything, you know, but a guy who doesn't go out to party, go out to drink, go out on vacation, he's considered kawak. But do little do they know this guy's actually trying to fix his legacy.
Yes.
Little do they know that all these vacations going out actually take away from this guy's legacy. Little do they know that all those vacations that people go to, when you go to on that vacation, most people are just miserable. They're tired. They want to sleep. They only show you half of what's out there. You know, but reality is they're bored. You see that?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I feel like we just misused. We're a lot of us are deceiving one another, and so that's why I say these days when people ask me, "Hey, what do you really like to do for fun?" I like to tell them I love to work. And if I can work today, and like back in the day, people like to, a lot of people hate Mondays, but I tell you what, I love Mondays because Monday's a new week for me to make more of my wealth, to make more of my money. You know, the weekends, if you can give me a job, if I can work on the weekend, which I work 7 days a week. If I can work on a Saturday or Sunday, I'm going to work tonight. You know, that's more money for me, for my legacy,
Yeah.
for my kids.
Attitude.
For my child, I have a child. Not kids, but I'm going to have kids someday. Yeah. Hopefully, by the grace of God. But if I don't take those opportunities to go ahead and work, then how could I be a breadwinner? You know, how can I be a breadwinner for my family? How could I make anything happen for my kid? You know, and another cycle that we're having here in the West is like, um, some people send their kids back home right now to because apparently kids in America are bad, which they are, but the parents are not taking responsibility for such thing, right? They're not looking as if they're the problem, you know,
Mhm.
because as you look at it this way, Cole, in the West here, um, as people in Africa will ask me that, damn, do you not have weekends to relax? That alone is a problem. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, weekends to relax. Come from somebody who doesn't have a job. You see that? That alone is just that's the reason why they don't have a job. Because they want to take every opportunity to relax. So go back to our parents here in America. The problem is not even, and I feel like I got a topic, but the problem is not. It's not the kids. The problem is the parents, because parents are not even
Yes.
home enough to look after the children. Because by the time these kids come back from home, from school, they went out there and faced society. They went and faced, like we went, middle school was rough for all of us. We had to fight every, to just to keep you keep your name, just to keep up with everybody. There's gonna be kids that make fun of you. Our parents don't know that these things are things that we're dealing with out there. With the middle school, there's bullying, but it took us to stand and fight. Back then to actually
Yeah, man.
survive
And it was
this.
tough,
But
man.
our
People don't
parents,
know it.
yeah, and a lot of people say, our parents have gone through worse, but you can fix a wrong with the wrong. Feel me?
Exactly.
So our parents, the problem is our parents. There needs to be someone looking after, because when we come back from school, we're mentally drained. Um, and I'm fortunate to have grown up to the age of 11, being around my parents, because it was my mom that believed in me, who told me that I could do this, who actually, like made me feel good about myself, no matter. So when my mom did that for me, no matter where I went, I didn't care what anybody else says. Now in the West, your mom, your dads are busy. When you come back from school, you're just mentally drained. They're at work, and then when they come back from work, uh, all they, which is good. There's food on the table. There's a roof over anybody's head. At the same time, there's nothing being put away for these kids, as our parents have made their children their investment, because they're hoping that that child goes to school, graduate, and once they graduate, they'll go to college, university, get a good job, and now they have to take care of their parents. Also, on top of that, they'll have kids to take care of. So by the time where I'm taking care of my parents and I'm taking care of my kids, when I get old, I want my kids to take care of me, Nicole. I want my child to take care of
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
because I've wasted all that time taking care of everybody where I have nothing put away from me. Now I have to go after my kids to help me out in life. The cycle have repeated itself for years and years and years, where our parents feel as if when they have these children, especially for girls, those are their investment. When that girl get married, you know, they're gonna actually be the investment for the family. But this
Hello, are you there?
this person that you gave, yeah, I'm here. Hello, okay.
Yeah, yeah. You just lost your second. Yeah, yeah. You were
Yeah,
saying
is it?
that the girls are an investment, and then I think I cut off.
Oh yeah. Well, the girls are more. Their parents make girls the investment for the family, whereby all children are their investments, but nobody is actually
Hello.
invested in their kids. Yeah, hello. Yeah, a call.
We're
Yeah,
back. So
yeah.
we're discussing generational wealth, and we're discussing families. We're discussing being an immigrant. Um, we said it's the parents. Parents, they got to do better. As much as they don't like to hear that, but parents see their kids as an investment. And so when their kids work hard and they succeed and they're not giving back to the parents get frustrated. So
Mhm.
Elijah was talking about that. Keep giving us game, Elijah. Why do you think that is?
I think we're all, I want to say hard head, or we're just prideful. Like we just too much pride. We want to hold on to our traditions to the max. Uh, but as we all know, technology keep advancing, right?
Hmm.
So how how do we expect to learn and not grow? Like we have to keep, like we have to keep growing. You see that? And that's why I feel like we're stuck in our own old ways, and we don't want to like leave our own traditions in order for us to better ourselves. Because anything that's gonna like anything that is to better ourselves is gonna destroy our traditions. Does that make
Hmm.
sense? Um,
But how do we balance tradition and modernism? Because I think there's a thing that a lot of people say.
Mhm.
The older generation wants to protect tradition. They say
Right.
that if it's traditional, for us, for example, us as Monjang or Nuer or Shuluk or whatever South Sudanese tribe or South Sudanese culture.
Right.
But there's another point that we always have to add is that when you bring your kids to America, you cannot expect them to be American, right?
Right. Right.
You have to expect them to behave like people who are in America. So now when you have somebody who's really stubborn, really hard-headed into the traditionalists, and they have a son or daughter who was born here who they don't believe listens to them, they're going to clash.
Uh,
They're going to clash.
so repeat that again, Nicole.
Yeah, so if you have like people here who have an old school mindset and they're insisting on that old school mindset, and then you have a younger generation of people who doesn't believe in that, they're going to clash.
Right. They're gonna clash. Thing is, uh, going back to our homeland. Our homeland. We're really there's no understanding. Everything that is being done is by, especially by our parents, is it by force or fire? You see that everything is by force. As
Mm-hmm.
in the West here, the West, there's education, there's technology, there's science, there's everything, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
why things go the way they go. But with our people, is people just there's no understanding, and when you are in, whether it be a relationship or whatever it is, or a business partnership, when there's no understanding, things don't work. You know, right
Yes.
now, for me and you, um, if I can't understand what you're telling me, then our friendship isn't gonna go anywhere. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
So with our people, when we don't have any understanding of anything, how do we expect to go anywhere?
We
We
can't go
have,
anywhere.
we can't, like, we don't have anything to explain science. We don't have anything to, to study our cultures more. We don't have anything to study, business more. Nothing like that. How do we expect to advance when we want to keep, all we're going to do is keep our old ways? How do we expect to advance? you know in business right now, Cole, if you're in a business of doing old things, yeah, some people are not like that, but eventually a young kid gonna come and knock you out of business because
Yes.
you haven't evolved. We are not evolving. We want to keep our old ways, but the whole world is leaving us behind, and no wonder our kids wants to be in the new, want to leave our culture because our culture is outdated, which is not a bad thing, but it could be bad. So now you have to ask yourself, is this culture worth, all these lives that are being destroyed? Is it, is it worth it? Is it worth it that we want to keep our old tradition and now our kids are not, like, we're not adapting, you know? So it kind of, it gets sticky when you go into culture. It's just like, it's no better way to put it, because everybody, it's going to be people that are going to say, no, you're saying something bad, but my thing is, their kids are dying every day of
Yes.
hunger, of whatever it is, poverty, gun violence, fights. Like, it's a lot of things. But now you have to ask, what if our old ways are the reason why these kids are dying? Is that worth it?
It's not worth.
You know, because if we will let go of our old ways right now and start inviting new mindset, new technology, maybe we'll have better hospital. Maybe
So
we'll have
what kind of mindset do you think we should invite?
a
Right now, if you
mindset
had
to
to talk to
understand that.
these people, what mindset would you invite? Would you think we need to invite to the way we do things?
A mindset of understanding, because, like I said, for every relationship to work, there has to be a understanding. There has to be communication. There has to be understanding. If there's no understanding, then nothing can work. So, like I say, we're not understanding. We can't even. We don't even understand our country. We don't understand our people. We don't understand anything. South Sudan is a beautiful country, but yet we have 50 some or what languages. You know, it's good. It's good. It's good in a way. But the reason why America is so functional is because English is the main language. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Spanish will come after, but we all speak English, you know? Otherwise, it wouldn't be as functional as this. So we need to come to where we understand each other, whether it be language or just understanding, you know? So that's where we get into here in the West is like our kids are not understanding our parents. So the relationship is going to clash, you know? Kids are coming, you know, like we can't expect them to be the same if we're telling them something different and then they're going out there and doing something different that the world wants them to do. You know, it's tough. It's already tough enough that you are, you know, you are different when you go out there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Very, very,
It's
very.
it's, it's tough that you
And
are
I
different
think
already.
they really, um, I would say, they get smacked in the face
Mhm.
when they go into the real world. And some of the challenges that you can look at, particularly with South Sudanese in the United States, is that.
You must have cut out again.
Hello? I said,
Yeah,
do you hear me now?
yeah.
Yeah. So many of the challenges that face South Sudanese in the US is that from a young age, like going off to the point of the parents, you sense the parents aren't really involved into day-to-day lives. They're not really involved into the lives of the kids. They're not involved in what's going on in school. They don't understand how things are done. So the kids start feeling like outcasts in school. I mean, the example that I give is that simple stuff like, you know, picking up your kids from, you know, sports
Mhm.
or, you know, field trips. You know, growing up, those are things that, you know, people didn't see it was a big deal, but it was a big deal for us when you go to a field trip and nobody's there to pick you up, or you didn't get, you know, money to go,
Right.
or your parents don't know what's going on, or people always ask you, how come, you know, your mom and dad or your grandma doesn't come? And, you know, you feel in a sense like, man, and you realize many of us South Sudanese, we had that. And we, in a way, like, you can't blame our parents because they didn't understand what they're getting into with the culture.
Right.
But that stuff like that affected us. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
kind of like, remember how I used to tell you the story of when we used to play soccer at Callanan.
Callahan, yep.
Yeah, and how at the end, I think it was always the South Sudanese who had to wait for their parents to pick them up.
Right.
You know, I remember it
You
was
used to walk.
me, it was you,
Yes.
Joe.
Mhm.
I don't know. There's a lot
Sam.
of other Sam,
Yep.
the Maban guy, Sadiq. Like I remember vividly. So like after the practice finishes,
Mhm.
you know, everybody's out. And then the coach gets so mad. They're like, where are your parents? And like, bro, and you know, like somebody's probably not coming for you. So then you call somebody like, hey, you know, find somebody to take you. I'm busy, right? So you're like, man, what do I do?
Right.
So I remember what I used to do was like, I think we discussed this. Like, I used to walk to like the
Mhm.
subway and just wait
Yep.
there, wait
Yes.
for like an hour. So just to make it seem like my parents, you know, my parents are here. I'm just gonna walk down the street. They're gonna pick me up.
Right.
And so sometimes, like, those are things that, like, when you explain to your parents or your guardians or people, they're like, almost not a big deal. When we're in Africa, you know, we didn't have, no, yeah, when in Africa, you didn't have that. But in America, stuff like that affects you.
They do.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It affects your self esteem.
Yes.
So that causes kids to, you know, stand out because they feel like these guys are not involved in my life. You
Right.
see what I mean? They're not involved in my life. They don't know what's going on.
Right.
But now imagine if that goes on consistently until somebody reaches high school.
There. Don't have no
How
car.
much you have no
Right.
car,
Right.
your parents don't even care about sports. When like when you're a teenager, you don't have a job. So when they say, oh, you need to have cleats, you need to have shoes, and this is something that on my side, I can say I'm appreciative of. Like my parents were able to help me with some of those things. Like I grew up in a 2-parent household, but
Right.
now look at people like you. Your parents weren't in America.
Right.
There's some people's parents were in America but weren't there.
Right.
There's people's parents picked them up. But I always say the level of support somebody got from their parents is equated to their success. And that's something that we just have to accept
Right.
as South Sudanese. So when we say it's the parents, I mean, we want parents listening to this, you should listen to this. It's not an attack on you. is to say understand things from an American point of view.
Right.
You're in America. It's
Right.
not Panmunjang where, okay, I can take my child to Elijah's house. No, it's not the same. Here, I feel some type of way.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you get what I mean? Those are some of the things that I think that prevents us from really understanding each other. Then there's a bridge between the parent and the child. And so, yeah, that's just something that I was thinking about.
Right. Well, to me, maybe they will attack me, but at the same time, I feel like parents, it really you really can't expect to, bring children to the earth and just say, okay, just figure it out, because if you don't, if anything, right now, you have this parent who's um, investment. Okay, you're a person that invests back in Africa, but at least you're there, you're footed in it. But there's some of our parents who want to send money back home and say, okay, well, build me a house. But yet you live in an apartment in America, no house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Buy me a land. But yet you're in America, you have no land. You see? So I feel like we need to, parents need to cut back on other focuses and focus on these kids because you're destroying a child's life. How many of our parents had money saved up on college? And not saying that they had it, but still at least try. How many of our parents, thank God for financial aid sometimes. Some of us got help. Thank God for scholarships, for all that. But no parents is actually saying, like I feel like they're, parents are in it for themselves and they're forgetting the kids sometimes. Makes sense? No parents actually sit down and just trying to look at, okay, I need to do this as a parent. It's always the child's part. And what I've noticed is like it's the kids that were strictly controlled that are not doing much today in life. Makes sense? Uh, they were controlled, and then now they got the freedom to do whatever. And now that thing, they're gonna practice that freedom until that person landed on a bad record, and that record is it's become a domino effect. Once you go to jail, now you're set back on your bills. When you come back from jail, you got to go to work, and then now you can't seem to catch up on bills. Now you got to go, rob somebody, and now you got a felon, and now there's no other opportunities for you to have in America, and now you feel as if it was a system. Now you just everything is system now, but if they didn't have the system to put people in jail, then I'll be doing whatever. I'll go down the street and rob a bank, whatnot. And it's the Sudanese that are actually robbing banks on foot. It's crazy. It's our people that would actually rob banks on foot. Mhm. There you go. Especially, mhm. Right. Right. Hmm. Look at that. But cool. That's why I said, that we as the people here in the West have more to do here internally because we're gonna have those guys who need the help, because an outsider is not gonna help them. Does that make sense? But But as we South Sudanese come together and start creating our small businesses, then we can always give other people the opportunity to be able to, like, yes, it was unfortunate that you got into stuff like that, but here's a handout. Here's a community, we can help you. This is the reason why Des Moines probably had a mayor, and that mayor specifically focused on Des Moines. He's not focused on Lincoln, Nebraska, or in Omaha, Nebraska. You see, so we have communities here in the U.S. that form and collect money and bring money together, but those communities are not coming together and say, okay, you know what, we need to act like mayors of our community. When so and so get in trouble, maybe we have a business that they can work at. When so and so get in trouble, maybe we can sit them down and help them out. Instead, uh, a community leader is working hard to push his family, and when these problem comes, he doesn't have time to even deal with them. You feel me? And I feel like there, there you go. Mhm.
Hello, you got me now?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay, I'm just gonna use my other computer. I was
Yeah,
using this Surface and this Surface. All right.
yeah,
We're talking about. I was making a good point. I wanted to say you were to out on your point.
right.
You cannot be living in Des Moines, Iowa, or Omaha,
Yep,
Nebraska,
yep.
and trying to change South Sudan.
There you go.
Choose your environment, and
Yes,
also you cannot trying to be a community leader
right.
when you haven't helped your own family.
There you go.
And we as a leader should say, no, you cannot be our leader, Elijah. Go worry about your family, you know?
There,
And this is why these are things that we find in the diaspora. Like you find these elders sometimes behind the scenes, we don't respect them.
there.
You know what I mean? Like we're like, oh, this is Uncle Elijah. Oh, but isn't that the guy who has been, divorced 3 times? He doesn't know where his
Right,
kids are at. You know what I mean? It's like the
right,
guy who was chairman of the community and disappeared with the money.
right. Isn't
Mhm.
he the one that's driving Uber Eats?
Yeah.
Driving Uber, stuff like that,
Yeah.
of course,
He doesn't
I
have a
want
real job. Yeah.
right. I want to create a community where that community has investments. That community is self-sufficient. You see China right now, who, we're all going to China to get stuff, you know. We're all going to China to buy stuff. We're all going to China to crave things. Why can't we here in the U.S. come in as a community and say we need to be self-sufficient? We need to have our own McDonald's. We need to have our own grocery store. We need to all have our own transportation. We need to have something that's actually going to circle around and makes the money for us, and keep
Yes.
investing in that. As Nebraska, it's Nebraska right now. It's export things out, but also export things in, import things in. It has business within inside that goes out and grab other money, other people's money, and bring it back to Nebraska. We as a community need to think like that. We need to be able to create our own thing so we can actually bring the money back to the community. And this thing right here of just donating money and sending them back out to go fund things that are not profitable is only destroying that community. Whatever it is being funded that's not profitable is a liability. But why would you keep wanting to do why liability every day? Why can't we come and actually invest into a bank, open a bank as a community, and that bank is going to fund our real estate, it's going to fund our transportation. Like we need to think that way. Instead of like these parents, they have a home, children, but they want to leave and go do other work and leave a work undone, unfinished, a work of taking care of their kids the proper way, of educating them, equipping them for the world. Instead, the little money that they're making, they want to take back home and go and buy a home or invest in a property that doesn't bring them money to the U.S., knowing that their kids here are in the U.S. They're thinking about, that investment is going to be money someday. But what, you haven't, you can't leave from step 1 to step 5. You got to finish step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get there. You see that?
And it takes time. It takes step by step.
Right. And
but many people, they don't get that. And I think we have to think about it like this, where you just kind of have to decide, and I see this a lot with living in South Sudan. I see it a lot with, like, when I was just in the U.S. recently, I meet a lot of South Sudanese who are very bitter. They're bitter about their circumstances in America. They're bitter about their kids. But the most thing they're bitter about is the fact that they didn't get what they want when they're in South Sudan. Like, there's a lot of people who went to South Sudan, tried to get a job, they didn't get a job. Right. Try to enter politics, they didn't get a chance. And then they come back, and that's why you find them, they're so bitter about things happening in South Sudan, not because they're concerned, but because they feel like they haven't been given a chance. And so I've noticed a theme where, and I was telling somebody this, I was like, when you go back to South Sudan as an American or somebody who's in America, people look at you different. Like, yes. You're dealing with people who don't have American passports. You're dealing with people who don't have options. You have options.
Right.
Like I always tell people, like myself, I'm so blessed. Like, I have an American passport. Like, I can go to America. My family's still in America. If I decide to, I can go work. I can do business. But imagine somebody who lives here. They're going to be more hungry than I am. They're going to be willing to do things that I'm not willing to do. And they're willing to do everything. Because they're going to say, hey, I don't have any options. But what is it that we have as Americans that they don't have? Number one, education and opportunity. Like, in America, we get mortgages. Like, we literally get loans from the bank to build homes.
There.
In South Sudan, people have to get money cash. So you get this a lot with a lot of people where they're like, okay, it's either South Sudan or America. And I used to be one of those basically, but okay, either I need to be here. But now I'm realizing that if you have the opportunity, you can maximize both.
Yes.
You can maximize both, but also you have to know how think like a global person. We are become global citizens. The moment you have two nationalities, you are no longer just South Sudanese, you're global. But the capacity is limited when you are living in Omaha, living in Des Moines, living in Texas, like you're living in Malakal or Bor or Bentiu. You're thinking like somebody who's living in Nasser or in Maluth or in Torit, but you live in Nashville, you live in Los Angeles.
Right.
you have to be like Romans, right? And that's the challenge that's really facing a lot of us, where we're hoping to go back home one day, especially the older generation. Okay,
Right.
you can go back home, but you do your thing in the U.S. in the meantime. Raise your kids, put them in the best position to succeed, so that when you do go back home, you can go back home with a bang. But like now, like as I always tell you, many people come back home, right?
Mm-hmm.
They say you come back home, Elijah. You're in
Right.
America for 20 years. You didn't go to
Right.
school. You don't have a business. You don't have a job, and you're broke. And you come back to
Right.
South Sudan. You say you want to be a leader. I'm gonna say, what have you done when you're in America?
Well, you see, that's why I say I believe in fair fight. I believe in fair fights. A lot of our so I call you a businessman in Africa right now, South Sudan
Mm-hmm.
specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Some of our people here who goes back home, especially those that speak that want to do business back home, they feel as if they're doing business back home is a piece of cake. You see me? So what I tell these people, do something here in America first. And when that thing thrives, maybe you can uplift that in Africa. Like they're a lot of people belittle Africa as if when they go back home, they're gonna do business, gonna be a piece of cake for them. You know, uh,
They think it's easy.
yeah, it's not. It's not. For once, you need your own capital. Where here in the U.S., you can get the capital from the bank.
Uh-huh.
But in Africa, you have to do it. You have to go and work. But they feel like they think that they're gonna open a business, and that business they're gonna hire people, and they don't have to ever do something. Everybody wants to be a boss, but it takes
But
hard
nobody
work
wants
to
to
be that
work.
boss. Yes.
And think about it like this, right?
Yeah.
When you came to Houston at one time and you driving the truck, and I'm like, Elijah, why are you driving the truck? You're the CEO.
Right. Right.
You responded to me very well, and I remember what you said. You're like, hey, part of a boss is responsibilities on me.
Right.
So if I believe a job needs to get done and I don't believe somebody can get it done the way I think it needs to be done,
Right.
I got to come and do it.
Right. Right.
So I was like, wow. It's similar because it's like it's my small work. Like, for example, I have like a training that I have to do in next week. In this training, the client personally requested that I come and do this training. And usually these trainings, I have my staff go do them.
Uh-huh.
The client's like, no, you need to do it. You will call personally. Don't send somebody. I was like, okay, no problem.
Correct.
It's like, then I thought about what you said to me. Like, okay, they just want a quality. And it's like, that's what sometimes the boss, you have to have higher quality. And like, the boss doesn't mean you sit at home, you shipping champagne and chilling. The boss means you hold the highest responsibility.
Right.
You're the guy who's most responsible.
Right.
So the boss, you can delegate it, but if it doesn't get done, they're not going to say, oh, yeah, by the way, Elijah, your staff, they're going to say, no, Elijah, you suck. Your company's going to get downgraded a rating.
I read that in a book too. It's like in my company right now, the company I'm running, whether it be any mistake that happened, I have to be the one to take fault in it because maybe I didn't train this person right. You feel me? Whether it be an accident, maybe I should have, trained them right. Probably I should have hired better. Like everything comes back to you as a boss, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand. You become the sole, responsible person that take that hit when anything.
And
happens.
you're the final responsible person, the final order.
Yes.
So there is no such thing as like, well, it was your staff, not you. No. It's you.
Nope.
And this is what's so interesting, right? When you start doing business, is you start realizing like you hire somebody to do work that you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like that's how basic what a company is.
Right.
So you're supposed to do accounting. So let me find somebody who knows how to do this. They can do it for me. That's why they say working for somebody.
Right.
So, like you're in trucking, you don't want to drive, but you have to drive. So you hire somebody to drive for you.
Right.
And it goes on. But like, I can't be sitting here chilling like, oh, I'm going to be a boss. The boss life is the boss for me. I don't have to work. I don't got to hire I'll just hire people and relax. But you got to come back because the quality is important because the quality is you. And especially when you're running a small business, the quality is important. People want to know.
Right.
But you can't be like you know, I'm going to send my team. I'm going to do this. Like I'm telling you, so many times I've sent my team. I've been called back. I've had work
Mm-hmm.
where personally I've been asked to oversee some things.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, sure. Because quality. Because the person you hire, they just see this as a job. They're an employee. They're not an owner.
There you go.
And so I think we need to get our people to start seeing like running a business is difficult. It's
It is.
responsibility because you can be somebody who's chilling, but at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, they'll call you. That's why you see a lot of people, the phone call, the boss is calling because the boss is owner. He owns it. He's going to make sure it's done the way you want it done.
Right.
So now let me ask you this. We're
Right.
having good conversation.
Right.
How do you lead people?
I lead
And
by example.
because we're talking about being bosses. How do you
Yes.
get them to have that same energy, same passion when they know it's not their thing?
Because I give no room for mess up on my end. The most thing that I get the most is like, you can call me anytime right now, whether it be night. I got guys calling 3 a.m., 2 a.m., midnight, whenever. Uh, what they know that somebody's gonna be on that line, and that person is gonna be Elijah. And then I get asked, "When do you sleep?" You know, for me, it's like I sleep, but I can't afford to miss a phone call if I'm the boss. Does that make sense? Especially from someone
Yes.
that is right under me. I can't afford when things go wild and anything goes wrong. Uh, I have to give the authority for anything. So I have no room to turn off my phone or anything like that. So I'll lead by example, and by example meaning that I will have to always do my part. You do your part.
Hmm. And so, have you had incidents where you've had to let people go because they're not performing the way you want them to perform?
Hmm.
And how do you handle that?
How do I handle letting people go? Um,
Yeah.
I believe in yes. I uh, I give a lot of chances, but when I see that our visions, our goals are not aligning, and I have to have a valid reason why I have to let you go. But I did let people go because what I'm doing has a lot of strings attached. You see that? By strings attached, like if you're not doing your part, that could affect the next person that works with me or under me.
Hmm.
If let's say I have a contract under, we run a small contract under Target, right? When one driver is not performing well, that could potentially ruin whatever truck is there, and that means another man has to, you know, reap the repercussions of what someone else did. So from there, I think of, when I make these decisions of letting someone go, I let them go based on what it could cost the next person. You know,
Mm.
to because I believe in the people that I hire or work under me. I believe in I'm very selective of who I bring around. I do give
Hmm.
chances. I do give opportunities, but it's up to you to take that to the next level. I believe in let me, here I am. I gave you the opportunity, but that opportunity is not going to make itself happen until you take it, until you take that to the next level, So yes, I try not to make it personal when it comes to letting people go. I think of the bigger picture of what it could probably cause the whole company, not just me.
So, what has been the most difficult thing you face as an entrepreneur?
Most difficult things that I faced. The most difficult things that I've faced. I believe um, as an entrepreneur, uh, especially where I'm at right now with trucking, the most difficult, is the I wouldn't call it a shoulder to cry to, but someone to share ideas with, someone to to be on your level, someone that could probably educate you a little bit more when it comes to things that goes wrong with the company itself. That have been my most difficult, thing, someone to go to, as it, you already know it. It's our people have done this, but I've came in. Uh, and I hadn't found anybody who was, up there doing what they're doing that could actually help me get to where I need to go. It's always required me to think outside the box, and I've always been, just, you. It'll help if you have a, what is it? It would help if I had a, what's it called, group? What is it? A mastermind group when it comes to
Yeah, yeah.
entrepreneurship. But the age I'm at and the people around me, my age, they're not even thinking that far enough. You know, I believe in Cole and I should be out there in China making treaties with China. I believe that if a Cole like law at the age he's at right now, he could be a judge. But our age groups right now, they're out there partying. It's the next function that everybody's going to. It's the next party. It's the next birthday, and stuff like that. But we, as a generation who in our age right now, we should be actually sitting down, changing countries, policies, and stuff like that. But instead, we want to do the bare minimum. Those,
Yes.
just not having a group of people there to do this with me has been the challenge.
Okay. And so, ambition. I've noticed you finding people ambition, but as somebody who's really ambitious, you will always face challenges of your ideology and reality. And that's the challenge of many ambitious people, where sometimes you're questioning yourself, sometimes you get shocked. What is a moment in your life where you felt proud of yourself, like I'm doing well? Because as ambitious, it's hard to get that.
Um, Something in nursing is called altruism.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a person who believe in, I don't want anything back, but when I do someone a favor, it makes me feel good. When I help someone else, it makes me feel good, and I feel like I do that every day. Given uh, given some of these, some of the guys that work with us, the opportunity to be able to work in peace, and guys that are making good money now who couldn't even imagine making that money in the past. Things like that make me happy. But it's nothing I should be bragging about. It's just that if I could sense that I helped you, in any way, it just makes me happy. I don't want anything in return. I don't need any gratitude, nothing, no thank you, nothing like that. As long as I know, I did something, it's altruism. It's good. Like, it just makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I believe is my life doesn't just stop here. It doesn't just stop in my family. It reach, it goes. I want to be able to build bridges, to build a bridge from my family to a co-family, and from
Mm-hmm.
there to a net. That's how these states are built. Highways, highways are formed by two different states.
Mm-hmm.
You see, they're formed by different, people. And I feel like financially we need to come together like that and form those to be able to build one bridge to the next family, to the next family, to the next family. That's how we become bigger and stronger together.
Build one bridge from one family to the next family. Here we are. All right, Elijah. I think we're heading about an hour. We're going to wrap it up, but I want you to send a message to our viewers, our listeners. I said viewers, but I'll upload this also on YouTube, the audio you guys can, for my viewers too. We have South Sudanese in America, in Australia, in the UK, in Europe, and in Africa. What is one message you have for them? Just your final message to them. Take your time. If you're talking to all of them, what are you saying to them?
To all the fellow Sudanese out there, we've come far. We didn't just leave Sudan or South Sudan um, on a vacation to where, oh yeah, I'm here in the West. I'm on vacation. You know, there's a reason why I left South Sudan, and that reason was education opportunities. And we, you know, I just want everybody not to forget why they actually left their homeland to come somewhere, come so far. You know, some would be considered refugees. I was a refugee, came from Ethiopia, but I'm a South Sudanese originally. But I know for a fact I didn't just come here to come eat or have good food or sleep well. I came here to learn and possibly take that same knowledge and education and opportunity and take it back home. But at the same time, I'm known to try and do what I can here to help one another. We often come together and form a unity, a one cause. And one cause is our, you know, we all need to be better than we were yesterday. And that should be a common fight for all of us. You know, for us to know that we came here, whether it be Canada, Australia, we came to actually get that education and opportunity. And let's give back to those who didn't have that opportunity. Let's go back. If you're a person who can, if there's a community that actually invests in bringing people to the West to come and learn and be educated and have opportunity, let's do that. You know, I believe in just trying to like do something here together. That way we can actually go and improve the thing that we need to improve back home. As you know, as I always tell people, is we love our country, but there isn't work, you know, still, you know, still work that needs to be done, and that work, you know, will probably take some of us here and some people back home, but it don't start until we actually define why we actually came here. So I just asked everybody to define what made you come. You know, what made you travel? What made you leave South Sudan? Define that first, and then trying to follow that, if it makes sense to any. Um, I'm Facebook is where you'll probably catch me every few months there. But I, you know, guarantee you, if anybody actually messaged me there, I can probably respond back. And it's Elijah Jock, just Elijah Jock on Facebook, and you should be able to find me there. I'm not on Instagram. I do have Snapchat, but Snapchat is just I don't really. I don't think it's appropriate, but Facebook, if you would. Uh, and then from there, if anybody, you know, I do have an email, a personal email, elijahjock@gmail.com. Anybody message me through that, I'll be able to respond. Anything that anybody needs to know, learn about trucking or just anything in general. And like I said earlier, Cole, altruism is something, you know, it's a word that's defined by someone who actually feels good when he does something for somebody, but not to gain anything, just knowing that they helped somebody. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Cole. Take it easy.